It's Raid Select calling Jason. Jason, are you out there? Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, copy Raid Select. This is Jason. I hear you. I read you loud and clear. 5 by 5.
All right, where are you coming from this week, Jason? Where are you coming to us from?
I'm not real sure how to pronounce it. There looks like there might be a superfluous A in there somewhere.
Okay.
But it's Alderan? Alderan?
Ah, okay.
It's really, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm really fucking disappointed. I'm super disappointed. I came here to this planet, which is supposed to be nice and peaceful and blah, 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 and it's just a bunch of fucking rocks. There's a bunch of cinders in space. There's this, like, nothing, and, it's a bummer, man.
I like the idea.
I didn't think this was...
I like the idea of you sitting on like a 6 foot chunk of asteroid in the middle of outer space with a laptop just on Skype. Like,
yeah.
Well, this is a bummer.
It's a drag. Fortunately, the margarita machine on the ship is fully functional, even in 0G. So we're good.
Okay.
Sitting here on this rock. Got our atmospheric simulator running, sipping a nice ice cold margarita, and just looking at all the rubble. And holy shit, I'm pretty sure that was just a severed head that floated by.
Nice.
Yeah. So I planned poorly. It was poor planning this week.
You should check out check out Hoth. I hear good stuff about there. Snow cones for everybody all the time.
Oh, I love snow cones, like shaved ice.
Yeah,
Can I get tiger's blood? I like tiger's blood.
Isn't that what you put on your balls when you want to like a quick pick me up? You put tiger's blood. No,
Jeff,
that's tiger balm. Tiger balm. Okay, sorry, wrong.
I don't know if you know this about me, but if I encounter a substance, I rub it on my balls just in case. You never know.
This is your idea of like checking food, like an old checking for poison in the food before you eat it. You just like zip. All right, I got to put these in here real fast. Like, all right, that seems all right.
And tiger balm on your balls.
Yeah,
it's pretty damn good. Tiger blood on your balls. It's a little sticky, not as good, but yeah, you get that like you put tiger balm on your balls, and you get that like. That really burning, airy, cold sensation. Although, word to the wise, don't get that shit near your tip.
Okay.
Because you get tiger balm in your pee hole.
Uh-huh.
Oh, sweet Christmas. You're gonna be in for a rough day.
This is one of the, Jason Murphy's this is the new feature on Rachel Lake. Jason Murphy's top 10 things not to get in your pee hole. Number 9.
Yeah.
Tiger balm.
It's true. It's right up. It's other ones, just to give you a hint, razors.
Yep.
Yeah. A Sega Genesis. Don't try that. That's no good.
Well,
you don't want to put a Sega Genesis in your pee hole.
You know, I feel like we've been talking about Alderaan and pee holes for 5 minutes, and I haven't had a chance to say, welcome everybody to the Raid Select podcast. Here you are. Here we are.
Woo!
Jason, this week we have a ass load of things to talk about. Mostly because last week, right down the road, comparatively speaking, in Texas was the Comic-Con, and they had all kinds of crazy shit at Comic-Con. So we're going to start.
I didn't go.
No?
I didn't go. I've never been to Comic-Con. But, man, it's not about the comics anymore, man.
Yes. The hipster lament of Comic-Con. Man, I like to go to Comic-Con before it was all about movie trailers and bullshit. I honestly think that in the time that I've been alive, Jason, the reports that people talk about from Comic-Con, I don't ever want to go to that motherfucker. I don't ever want to go to it ever in my entire life. Like, it sounds like a nightmare.
It does. It sounds like E3.
No, but at least at E3, they don't let the sweaty norms in, you know?
Like, what was it? Jeff, I'm sorry, but my experience with E3, there were lots of sweaty, knuckle-dragging troglodytes.
Okay, but let me put it this way. There's a much smaller amount of sweaty, knuckle-dragging troglodytes inside of the Staples Center.
Okay, maybe. But there was a guy. I took a picture of him. I posted it on Instagram. I'm pretty sure it was when I was in line for Titanfall, which was I was in line for Titanfall for like 3 weeks or something like that. That guy had never even encountered a bar of soap. He never even so much as walked down the aisle in the grocery store where they kept the soap.
In fact, I'm pretty sure that guy was a bear. I don't know. He
may have been a bear who rolled around in shit and was wearing Andre the Giant's jockstrap after like WrestleMania 5.
Okay. But honestly, like what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago when they had that story about the Twilight fans who just like came in and they organized their line wait for like 3 days so that they could get in to see the Twilight panel. And I've talked to people who've gone to Comic-Con, and every time I talk to them, I'm like, that doesn't sound even remotely fun. That doesn't sound like if I had some kind of fuck you golden ticket to Comic-Con, right? That so you're going to wait in line. I'm not going to wait in any lines. I'm just going to walk through.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, hey, Nathan Fillion, you and me, let's go get some nachos. And he'll be like, you have that badge. Okay, yeah, let's go get nachos. That sounds cool.
You've got the nacho badge? Let's go.
Yeah, that's an event that I would go to, but when you talk about like waiting in line for a day, I won't wait in line for like an hour for what is, a lot of people's opinion, the best barbecue in all of Austin, and I won't wait in line for 60 minutes for that.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing is that, Comic-Con, there's a lot of cool stuff there, but I see Comic-Con like I feel about traveling and going to new places. I don't like doing it because I can just use my mouse and click, 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 click. Oh, look, there's all the cool shit at Comic-Con. And it's like, oh, well, I could travel to China, or I could just Google image search China, and that's just as good.
Yeah, the only,
for me.
So far this year, the only thing, I mean, obviously, actually, I heard a lot of reports from E3 this year that said that E3 this year was like really lightly attended. Like you just walk up to stuff, like there weren't the same lines like there were the year before when we went. But the only thing so far this year that I've been really disappointed at is if I'd have known they were going to show that fucking Doom footage at QuakeCon. QuakeCon's in like Dallas or whatever, right?
Yeah. It's like right around the corner.
Yeah, I could have done that. I could have been like, Matt Frank, you're getting married. That's lovely. I'm afraid I've got to go see the new Doom game. Have fun with that. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
I got a hookup at QuakeCon.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you know.
Oh, I know. I think I got the same hookup. So
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, before we get into the actual gaming news, and this is actually going to segue nicely, I got a few things here. I actually made a list this week of shit to talk about because we've got so many things. So let's talk about the non-video game Comic-Con things. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it. The one thing that I haven't seen yet is the Avengers footage.
I didn't know there was any, and now that I do, I will stay far the fuck away from that because I would like to go into Avengers without seeing anything. I'd like to just go
I want to see it.
Get my block knocked off. Over the last year,
you want to talk about shit I want to rub on my balls?
Yeah.
I want to rub Avengers 2 on my balls.
I like that mental image of you walking up to the panel, the Avengers panel, and just Sir, you can't take your pants off. It's a shut up. I'll do what I want.
Yeah. It's like, and then it shows up on TMZ, like, drunk, crazy person rubs his balls on Robert Downey Jr. I would do it.
Yeah?
I would do it. I'm a straight man, but I would rub my balls on Tony Stark.
Okay, you have a general idea of the geek culture people at Comic-Con. So as a warm-up for our later email questions, Jason Murphy, who is the number one geek icon that you want to rub your testicles on?
Oh, shit, son. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from, right?
Yeah. Maybe Hemsworth, the guy that plays Thor, not because he's obscenely handsome, which he is,
Right.
and it should be regulated by the Geneva Convention because he's so good looking.
We've even declared at this point you could totally be into Chris Hemsworth. You don't have to question your sexuality. Everybody is into Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are.
I just want to rub my balls on him because maybe I could ejaculate lightning. And so fuck Brian with his whole bees thing. I'm just in lightning.
That's even worse than bees.
For whosoever holds this cock wields the power of Thor.
So now you've got Chris Hemsworth twirling you around by your junk in the next Avengers movie, just spinning you around by your wang in the Avengers.
Oh my God. Dude, I have never named my wang until this is a historic moment, Jeff.
Uh-oh, shit.
This is big.
Okay.
This is very big.
Okay.
Mjolnir.
That's cliche, man. You got to get something better than that.
Fuck you, it's cliche. That's my dick. Mjolnir.
Yes, folks. We have a new T-shirt here at Rage Select. It says, "Your dick is cliche." That's what it says on the front of the shirt.
Or we should just have a new T-shirt that is a giant dog, and it just has, like, Mjolnir tattooed on it.
What we need to do is we need to have just a shirt that says Mjolnir, which will get sued by everyone, probably.
No. Dude, Mjolnir is public domain.
Yeah, but
man.
then we need somebody to draw us a hammer, right? But like Thor's hammer, okay? But it's got to just be like subtly, like at the top, instead of a hammer, it's balls. But enough so that if like a regular person who didn't know was looking at it, they would be like, there's something about that shirt, but I don't know what it is. But then anybody who did was just like, balls.
Hang on, I'm texting Matt Frank right now.
Okay.
On his honeymoon. He's on his honeymoon. He's like, hey, I need you to draw my dick, but it's got to look like a giant Norse hammer.
Yep.
I'll probably have something by dawn.
Actually, you know what? It was one of the things on my list worth mentioning that our friend Matt Frank got married. Y'all should tell him congratulations. Woo! And your wife spent, like 4 solid days, like 12 hours a day in my kitchen making the Gamera cake. And
it was pretty sweet looking, right?
Dude, the thing that I kept telling, like, I was there for every step of the process. I kept walking around telling other people because I was afraid they wouldn't know. The head and the arms of Gamera were Rice Krispie treats with, like, food magic on top of it to make it into a sculpture. So you actually take those things and just fucking, like, wolf them down, and they were basically Rice Krispie treats attached to this blue velvet cake Gamera. It was just like, so good.
She had to cut corners, too.
Yeah. Yeah,
because it was outside, and so it couldn't show off, like, all of the, like, the black light glowing. She put black light flashlights.
Yep.
Inside the fucking cake.
Yep, she put them in there to light up the jets that she made out of gummy. She made gummy flames coming out of the back of it that served as the Gamera jets. Fucking insane. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, everybody, you should be really thankful that my wife is not a supervillain because she would just conquer us.
Yeah.
And see our women driven before us.
Nice. So, okay. All right. Well, let's get on to this Comic-Con stuff. We teased it for long enough now. All right. Let's do these, and we got to go down the list fairly quickly because we're already 15 minutes in. We saw Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, just whatever her name is, as Wonder Woman.
She looked good. She looked good.
She looks pretty good. She's a little.
There's a lot of brown. What's with all the brown?
It's called Zack Snyder. Duh. Like, dude never met a desaturation filter that he didn't like.
So you know how Wonder Woman was created, right?
It was a
Wonder Woman.
Was it a fetish dude, right? Like seeing women tied up.
Yeah, it was all like very Betty Page spanking women being tied up and everything. So if you look at the old Wonder Woman stories, she's always getting tied up and shit like that. So I'm saying, you know what? Let's go back to that. Let's just embrace it. Just own it.
Oh, no, that's not good. That's no good. That's for the one that, okay.
Fuck you.
No, Jason.
Fuck
no,
you.
wait, hold on. That is for the porno parody of Dawn of Justice that will inevitably come out by Vivid Studios after that movie is released.
Oh my God. I'm getting my camera right now.
You're going to beat him to the punch?
And nobody wants to be with the Flash because he's so fast.
Yep.
Nobody wants to be with the Flash. Batman's the moody guy who is just like anal or nothing. Mm-hmm. Superman is the greatest lover ever.
Yep.
Green Lantern brings lots of toys into the bedroom.
Yep.
Martian Manhunter.
He could reach
really doesn't like it when you set his dick on fire. I don't know. I'm just making this up off the top of my head.
You're doing a pretty good job so far.
But it's genius. It's genius.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is, have you ever seen this Gal Gadot lady in like any actual movie ever?
Yeah, she's your typical skinny, somebody please give this bitch a sandwich actress.
That's the only thing that is a little worrying to me is that she just, I mean, I'm not saying like, okay, she seems a little bit small for what I would want out of a Wonder Woman, but then I guess I'm not really, it doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, if she does a good job, who the fuck cares?
Jeff, the most important thing, really?
Yeah.
Wonder Woman's got to have some rockin' tits.
Yeah.
I mean, like some fucking, how does she stand upright titties?
Some Linda Carter style.
Linda Carter at the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
This Gal Gadot chick, she doesn't have it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think Wonder Woman needs some swinging udders. Some giant meat pillows.
Oh my God, this is the classiest podcast, you guys. You don't have.
It is the classiest fucking podcast. But so there is an issue of Hitman by DC.
Yep.
Which has been collected now. Go out and purchase it. Do it. Mm-hmm. Where I think it was Hitman. It may have actually been in Justice League.
It was in JLA when they were trying new people out. I know where you're going.
They were trying new people out. You know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And Garth Ennis's Hitman goes up to try out for the JLA, and everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing here? Why are you here? You're a lunatic." Blah blah blah. And one of his few powers is X-ray vision.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially he just said, "Oh, I just came up here so that I could check out Wonder Woman with my X-ray vision."
Yep. Classy.
And that's my guy right there.
Hitman, now that I think about it, Tommy Monahan is very similar to Jason Murphy. You got an avatar there in the comics.
I like Tommy Monahan a lot, but someone in our chat section recently said, I think that Jason Murphy may actually be Spider Jerusalem. God damn it, I read that comment, and then I went straight to bed. I closed the door, I turned the lights off, and I jerked off so hard.
You don't do enough drugs, and you're not as interested in the welfare of other people, Jason. I think that Hitman is. I think that Tommy Monahan is a better fit for you than Spider Jerusalem. Although I can see exactly why you would go into your room and then jerk off furiously. Because what better compliment could you give to a person?
Oh yeah.
I mean, come on.
So who? Okay, if you were a comic book character, who would you be?
Probably like Jimmy Olsen. Some stupid
Jimmy Olsen.
It would probably
hashtag Jimmy can't close.
It would probably be like Ted Cord, right? Like the blue
Ted Cord's fucking a billionaire, dude.
Well,
trillionaire.
Well, Tommy Monahan has X-ray vision, so we're I was just going personality wise, kind of a schlubby dude. I don't know.
Ted Cord, yeah.
Anyway, I don't know. I think that all of these shots that they've had of the different characters from Batman versus Superman have all just showed me that I'm really sick of this desaturated, washed out, quotey fingers, realistic superhero bullshit.
Yeah. Okay. But did you see the teaser?
Yes, that's actually the next bullet point on my list. And I watched it and I went, so are they just making Dark Knight Returns? Is that
that's what it seems like, right?
With some Wonder Woman added. I mean, like, I look at that scene and I'm just like, okay, so the one of the problems that I have with comic book movies, Jason, is that and I've said this before, but when Sin City came out, I realized that I don't want them to just film the Killing Joke. I don't want them to do that because I already know the Killing Joke. I know it backward and forward. And so you look at this with the small teaser footage that was leaked out. They've been taking it down. I actually had to search for a while to find it today. And like the bats, well, okay, I'm not even going to go into specifics, but like that scene looks like a live action chunk of Dark Knight Returns. And I go, if that's what they're going to do, I guess they'll maybe change it up, but so far nothing that I've seen of Batman versus Superman has been interesting to me so far. Like, you know what I would be more interested in is watching a screen test of Ben Affleck doing some Batman voice at villains, not just special effects shots of people standing around or stills of Wonder Woman on a volcano or whatever, but some actual acting and dialogue coming out of these people. Sure. So I can see what I'm in for.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is that, we're going to be taking a lot from The Dark Knight Returns. And it's like, listen, this is the first meeting of Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
You don't immediately go to Dark Knight Returns.
Yep.
You just don't, because you have to build the audience up for this decades-long friendship. And then you have The Dark Knight Returns.
Well, plus, I think it's obvious right now. We can say, okay, you guys, we're going to go into spoiler territory for Dark Knight Returns for the next few minutes here. So if you haven't read that, you don't want to know anything about this, jump forward a few minutes. But he can't do what he did exactly in Dark Knight Returns. Like, that would be the end of this movie, and it wouldn't make any sense to end it there, especially if Wonder Woman's running. The end of Dark Knight Returns can't be the end of this movie, because that's a whole different, like, you would be killing your sequel, right? Or I don't know, maybe they will do it. I don't know. Part of me goes, maybe they're using all this imagery from that as a way to get all of us hardcore comic book fans thinking that we know what's going to happen, only to turn it on its head. But then any 4-year-old can go, oh, maybe they're just using this to trick us, and they're not actually going to do that because that would be stupid. Or they will do it, and then it will be stupid. I don't know. I'm so conflicted about DC. Is the people who make these DC movies, Zack Snyder's Superman and the Nolan Batman, and all the problems that I've had with the DC stuff so far, is just, it's toying with my emotions. I have no idea whether to be excited or to not care, or to be an internet just fuck, one of those guys.
I'm just cautious. I liked Man of Steel. I thought Watchmen was okay. I thought 300 was kind of dumb. I loved Dawn of the Dead, most of it. So I don't think he's the right guy necessarily.
Yeah.
But I'm cautiously optimistic.
I guess maybe now that I think about it, now that I've said these words out loud, I think that what I'm really worried about, Jason, is the fact that what I love so much in comic books when you talk about Batman and Superman is you've got dark, cynical Batman and gee whiz apple pie, like a role model Man of Steel Superman, right? So the interplay between them is really interesting, with Batman being kind of like the dark facets of humanity, and Superman is like this ideal version of what we all could be, if we were invulnerable and all whatever. But in this universe that they're setting up right now, I don't have any. I'm almost completely certain they're not going to lighten up Batman. Batman's going to still be dark, but Superman's also pretty dark in this universe as well. So it's just, to me, it's like you're just wading into just all this dark and grittiness, and I don't know. I guess I'm just a little tired of the dark and grittiness.
Yeah. I mean, Superman's all about hope, as he said in Man of Steel, but we didn't really see a lot of that. So I would really love to see this. Okay, so that's what Captain America does well in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's positive, he's uplifting, and he makes it seem cool.
Yeah.
That's what Superman is supposed to be to the nth degree.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we don't really get that in Man of Steel.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all, I guess that a lot of it maybe just comes down to a personal thing. We even have an email question later on that touches on a little bit of this, but it comes down to me to a personal thing of like, the world is already a difficult quagmire of emotions and gray areas and what's right and what's wrong and whatever. And it's nice in superhero movies to have like these just larger than life beacon symbols of good, or, you know, like Green Lantern and the willpower of Hal Jordan, or like the, you know, just these huge personalities that you get out of people like Captain America or Spider-Man. Like that's, I think, one of the reasons that I'm not super hip on I mean, I didn't hate it, but I just wasn't like super in love with not Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, but Amazing Spider-Man 1, was because it was just a lot more gritty and realistic. And I'm like, I just kind of want to see Spidey swinging around going like, up, one-liner, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, I think I think Guardians of the Galaxy is going to address a lot of that. From what I hear, it's, and by the time this goes up, hopefully I will have seen it. But apparently it is the funniest Marvel movie to come along.
I really can't. I can't wait to see it. I just.
Oh, I know. I'm going as of this recording. Going tomorrow.
Okay. I think I'm going to be going like Monday or Tuesday. Maybe. You know, I found it really good if on Tuesdays after we finish recording our Wednesday Thursday videos at like. If I can find like a 10:30 show, there's never anybody there. I saw Lucy this week at one of those shows, and I was just like, woot. But speaking of dark superheroes, another thing that came out, not at Comic-Con, but just kind of in the same time period, did you see the Blur Deadpool test footage?
I'm sorry. I was busy rubbing my penis.
You know, Jason,
oh my God, I've watched it like 6 times.
This podcast is becoming increasingly more and more about your junk with every minute that goes by.
My plan is coming to fruition. Yes, I watched the low-res version that was out, the leaked version. I watched that a couple of times. Mm-hmm. I watched that probably 3 times. And then I watched the high-res version 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, why is this movie not a thing yet? What is wrong with you, Fox?
Well, I would think that what does Fox do? Do they have, what superhero franchise do they have right now?
They have the Fantastic Four and all of the X-Men and X-Men adjacent stuff.
Yeah, they should definitely be making this instead of any of those other things.
Oh yeah.
The only, I could
cancel everything. Cancel your stupid, fucking horrible, not Fantastic Four movie that you're making, which sounds like complete dog shit. Cancel that. Cancel the Age of Apocalypse movie that everyone's excited about. I haven't seen Days of Future Past yet, but I hear it's great.
Yeah.
Cancel all of the things and put all of your eggs in the Deadpool basket. And I'm not like the crazy Deadpool fan, right? Like, there are a lot of millennials and people who were younger than us that are just like, oh, Deadpool, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, motherfucker, I was there when Deadpool first jumped onto the scene. I've been a fan ever since, all right? So shut your fucking mouth. You don't know anything about Deadpool. I've got Joe Kelly's entire run. But that trailer gives me a hard dick, son.
No, it was really good. The only thing is I could definitely see, apparently, for those of you who haven't watched this is like, it was like 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. And it was Blur Studios doing the.
Oh, I didn't know Blur did it.
Yeah, well, the director of that trailer, or the director of the movie, I guess, is like the CEO of Blur or something like that.
I'm gonna have to suck his dick. I mean, I have to.
But it's basically Deadpool. He starts out, he talks to the camera a little bit, he jumps into a truck, he's doing a bunch of action.
It's out there. Don't spoil it.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah, just go watch it. It's pretty awesome.
It's fucking amazing. And it totally captures Deadpool.
And, it's Ryan Reynolds doing the voice of Deadpool, and he actually gets to talk because somebody didn't glue his fucking mouth shut. That's the worst thing, the worst decision ever. But I can definitely see where apparently this was produced like 3 years ago. I was reading the story about it. But I can see where Deadpool would be a hard sell for studio execs. So you can be like,
oh, yeah.
Who is this?
It's got to be rated R.
Yeah, well, it's got to be. Well, no, there was actually a thing where they said that they rewrote it to make it PG-13, but that it worked.
Fuck you.
Yeah. But I could see where they're like, who's this guy? Dead who? They're like, Deadpool, yeah, he's a weird, he talks to the camera. They're like, what? He does what? He knows he's in the movie. Wait, what? No, just go make the Avengers. Go make me another Avengers movie. What the fuck are you talking about? He swears all the time? He cuts people up with swords? Is he a bad guy? No, he's a good guy? He's into Woody Chongas? Like, yeah, I could see where you could have some, 50-year-old studio exec going, what the fuck are you even talking to me about?
Yep.
So I got money down that it's going to take a lot of these comic book movies just going completely bananas. I mean, we're already halfway there, right? But
dude, they made a Guardians of the Galaxy movie, and when I read that they were making that, I stopped and I thought, wait, is this on the Onion?
Yeah.
Really? The Guardians of the Galaxy. And apparently it's amazing.
Yeah, but the thing is that that was inside of the Marvel universe, which at this point I feel like the Marvel universe there's people out there in this world, they'll go see whatever Marvel movie, they don't give a fuck. And they'll love them all too, because I thought Thor 2 was kind of boring personally, but you don't have to look.
Thor 2 was just fine.
It was
a cool movie.
Yeah, it was all right. I thought Thor 1 was basically just all right, but I think that as long as you can set something in that Marvel Cinematic Universe that they've got going on, that you're going to have a bunch of people who are just going to line up and see whatever. Plus, I got to say that I was iffy about Guardians of the Galaxy, and there was a version of a trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy that would not have me nearly as excited as that first teaser trailer did, because that was what really put me from what? There's a raccoon with a machine gun. I got to see this. I got to see this right now. I got to see it right now. That's what happened. So, but yeah, I don't know. Deadpool, I think that we're still probably a few years out on Deadpool. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Fox needs to grow a pair and make this happen, because I think it would be huge.
Fox doesn't have any testicles. You know this. They're looking for safe bets.
Yeah.
But you know who does have testicles? Mad Max.
Oh,
did you see the Mad Max
trailer? Is the tits.
Mm-hmm. It looks pretty good. The only thing that was a little weird about it is, and I don't know. Tell me, that trailer looked completely awesome, and it was totally the way that it was put together is all action packed stuff like that. If there was one thing about it that was a little weird to me, it was that Max himself looked. I mean, it's Tom Hardy, right? But he was so generic looking. You look at him along.
He was sidelined.
Mm-hmm.
He was really not in it that much.
Mm-hmm. Well, wait, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, at the first half of the trailer, it was real, and most of the trailer, actually, it was really just about the Mad Max world.
Yeah.
And none of it was about him being a badass. None of it.
I guess it's just, and maybe it'll come later, but there were parts in the trailer where you could see him walking, and I guess I expected to see whoever the Mad Max was in this movie in the leather jacket, with the white hair on the side. Right, like original Mad Max. And maybe we'll see that eventually in the movie and in the trailer. It was just the beginning of him, and half of the trailer he was just chained up to that car or whatever. But
so I had a chance to see this yesterday.
What? Mad Max?
Mad Max.
The whole movie?
Yes.
What?
I'm not fucking with you.
What?
Yes.
Did you?
No, I was busy with space exploration.
Oh man.
I don't even know if I should say their name, but a listener one of my friends, a great guy, said, "Hey, I have, I'm going to see an early cut of Mad Max Fury Road tomorrow. Would you like to go?" And I said, "Fuck yeah, I'd like to go." And then I looked at my itinerary and realized there's no way I could go.
I hate you so much, Jason. I hate you.
I know,
so much right now.
But he texted me afterwards and said it was actually kind of shitty.
Oh man. Well, that's one. That one could really go either way. Like,
and I would say his name, but I'm not sure if I should. I don't want to get him to any trouble because I don't know what the circumstances were that he got into this screening.
Right.
But yeah, I was genuinely expecting Mad Max Fury Road to be just garbage dick.
Well, it's worth remembering that in the pantheon of the existing Mad Max movies, of which there are 3, right? Or the previous ones, we got Mad Max, Road Warrior, and Thunderdome. The Road Warrior is really okay. I don't have a lot of love for the original Mad Max. I watched it, and it might have just been built up too much for me. Is that people were like, "Oh no, the original Mad Max, the first one, that's way better than either of the stupid other two." And then I ended up watching it, and I was just like, "This doesn't really seem as good as the other two." But watch it again.
Yeah, but not have a giant cock in your mouth.
Wait, there was a Mad Max 2. So Mad Max 1979.
Mad Max 2 is Road Warrior.
Okay. And so Mad Max and then Beyond Thunderdome. Okay, Fury Road. Okay. I don't know. I remember all of Road Warrior. I own the Blu-ray for Road Warrior, and I've got like 4 Blu-rays in my house.
I happen to think that Road Warrior is better than Mad Max.
Thunderdome, it's got some good parts in it. When they get to the kids, I start to lose a lot of interest in it.
It's mostly silly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once you make Tina Turner be a primary character in your story, you may have lost me.
Yeah. But for this,
we don't need another hero.
I feel like Fury Road could really go either way. Like if it was great, that wouldn't be surprising to me. If it was terrible, that wouldn't really be surprising to me either.
Well, that trailer looked amazing, but what I'm hearing from a friend, the movie, not that great.
Trailers, they lie.
Trailers lie
all the time. So
yep. That's Martin's mantra.
Yep. And so as far as I could tell, that's all the movie stuff I have from Comic-Con. But before we move into the video game news, I just got to ask, Jason, I've been asking you this for like a month straight, right? So did you finally play the motherfucking Destiny beta last weekend before it was shut down?
Oh, man. Oh, yeah. That was good shit, man.
Yeah?
I wish I could stop recording right now and go play the Destiny beta.
Well, it's over now.
I know. It was like an MMO without all of the MMO bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, I went and I fought this like giant spidery looking robot thing, and me and these 2 other players were going up against this thing, and it took forever to kill this bitch.
Yep.
But we were looking out for each other. It was like, so-and-so is down. And I was like, no, that's my boy. I got to get over there and revive this guy. And it took a long time, but we finally beat that thing. So it was like an MMO, but with Halo mechanics. So I was into it. I liked it. So I will be buying this when it comes out. Okay, and the Destiny beta, the best thing about it, the music.
That I told you last week, right? That music was really good.
You did. Seriously, that music is amazing. It's just so epic and orchestral. Oh man. I mean, that turned the game around for me from, okay, this game is pretty cool, to, wow, I'm going to buy this the day it comes out.
Yeah. That was one of those
epic.
When we had that question about music, when we talked about music for a while, making a game, that was one where it was kind of in the background, like a generic orchestral thing, right? And then you start fighting something and they kick it with one of like the really kind of like action tunes. You're just like, yeah, man. Yeah. Like you recognize it in spite of the fact that it's kind of just in the background. But the only thing is, I thought I read in a report somewhere that the Cosmodrome area that we saw in the Destiny beta is one of 5 total areas that make up Destiny the game. And
like the non-beta?
Yeah, like the actual full-on release of the game. But now, I don't know how much you did of roaming around, but like the Cosmodrome is a big area. But it gets a little, maybe it's just because it's been in the alpha and in the beta, and I've played it like 1 billion times at this point. And there's actually places in the beta that you couldn't get to. I don't know if you encountered this, but
like the moon.
No. Like if you're in the beta, there was this one place where there would never put you any missions there, but if you're just roaming around the map, you could find this little like switchback, around, where all the ships were up on top of the land. There's like a little gully that goes around the side of that. And when you go over there, there's enemies standing in that area that are level ? And you can't even damage them with the guns that you have in the game. And if they shoot you once, you're dead. So I actually muscled my way past them only to find another 5 or 6 guys that were exactly the same level. So, but I don't know. I can't tell. Like, it's possible that if those areas, because the free roam is decent, but it can get old.
Yeah, because there's really not a lot there. I mean, I didn't like play it extensively, like exploring new territories and what have you. But what I did play, it started to get repetitive.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot where you're going through the Russian, what was it called? Cosmodrome.
Cosmodrome, yeah.
Where you're going through the same path repeatedly. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the beta, but what's there is not enough to sustain a AAA release.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I get the impression that even if there are 5 areas, I still think, okay, you know what I think it is if there are 5 areas in the game for single player that each have maybe like 6 to 10 story missions like we saw in the beta, plus a roam, plus call it 2 or 3 raids per area, that escalate all the way up. If there's only 5 of those areas, that's enough to justify a $60 game, especially when you consider the multiplayer and all the other stuff that's added in there as well. It's just, goddamn, they have now managed to hype me up to the point where it's like, this better be the greatest game of all time, or else it's going to be garbage. Like, if this doesn't just make my head explode in excitement, then I'm just going to be like, well, no, it's the worst game ever. It's the worst game ever, Jason. It's the worst game ever.
No, it's a good game. It's a lot of fun. I'm after the beta, I am intrigued enough to say, yes, I want to buy the full version.
Yeah.
And then we will see what happens.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to go ahead and move into the actual video game news.
Oh, shit. Dude, we've been going for 45 minutes and we're not even in the news yet?
Yeah, I know. We're going to have to do this one really fast.
Oh, Christmas.
All right, first up, there's not a lot of video game Comic-Con news. There's some, but it tends to be less. I mean, I think we got Leipzig or GDC, right, is right around the corner. One of the next big shows in Europe is coming right up, and I'm sure that's going to be where big stuff happens. But one interesting thing that I thought was a thing to bring up to just talk with people about, and I think this is probably obvious, but I guess I had never thought about it before, was there's a story that came out of Comic-Con that said that Mass Effect 4 is not going to have Shepard in it, obviously.
Well, that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to have Shepard.
But it's funny because I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, and this is just, I wanted to just talk real briefly about this. How much do you think that the Shepard persona tied into how much you liked Mass Effect, Jason?
Shepard was a cipher. He was really, we were making all the decisions for him. So, no, I really don't think that it was that big of a deal.
Okay. Because, I could tell you right now that I have more of an emotional attachment to, quote, fingers Shepard than I do to... what the fuck was I can't even remember the name of the generic protagonist from Dragon Age 2. It was called like I can't remember what they called it, but
really Shepard though was you had so many choices that you could make with Shepard, and whenever you did make them and you could see and hear Shepard spouting those lines off. Yeah. It was very generic. Because it was like BioWare was trying to have its cake and eat it too. We're going to have a protagonist with some personality, but it's also going to be kind of a Gordon Freeman cipher so that you can inhabit it. And I thought they walked that line really well. But if they switch it up to somebody else, I'm not really going to care.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was kind of interesting just to think about. I think because it was weird when you say like, yeah, Shepard's not going to be in the next game, and your brain goes, yeah, duh. But I just don't think I'd ever actually thought about it before. I don't know. I think that there's I have some kind of weird attachment to just the name, but I don't know. They do whatever. Anyway, let's keep moving because, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to get through. Next up, so there was a talk at San Diego Comic-Con that they are making The Last of Us a movie. Which part of me is excited about. The other part of me is kind of like, when I think of The Last of Us as a movie, it's a pretty, unless they change it up dramatically, which why would they? It's a pretty simple movie, right? It would be, so let's see. Screened. Okay.
The game was already cinematic enough. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, which by the way,
so
Jason, go ahead.
What else are we going to be getting out of the theatrical adaptation?
I guess for anybody who hasn't actually played the game, I guess if you hadn't played the game and you'd heard all your dirty, smelly, no soap gamer friends talking about The Last of Us and how awesome it was, you could be like, all right, I'll go see it as a movie then, because that would be cool. So apparently, Neil Druckmann, I think he's the director on the game, or the writer said he's going to write, and Sam Raimi is signed on to produce the film. And then I guess the one story that came out of Comic-Con was that, I don't know how to say her name. I just said it, Maisie Williams, the girl who plays Arya in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Is in talks to be Ellie in the Last of Us movie.
Why don't you just get Ellen Page? Really. Just do it. Everybody knows. Just get Ellen Page.
I think Ellen Page is a little bit old for The Last of Us now, right? The Ellie has to be like a 14-year-old.
Dude, she still looks 12.
Ellen Page?
Look, Google Ellen Page. Ellen Page 2014.
Yeah.
I think she will die looking like a 12-year-old.
If they can make Chris Evans look like that skinny guy in Captain America, they can make Ellen Page look like she's 12 years old.
She already looks like she's 12. 12-year-old lesbian. Yeah. But yeah, 12 years old. So I have to tell you, I went out today with a specific mission, and the mission was accomplished.
Okay.
I bought Last of Us Remastered.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yep. Aaron and I played that last week on the dojo. It was pretty hot. It was pretty hot.
I saw it. I saw you guys suck at video games, but I'm going to go in there and I'm going to rock some shit.
There was... that last week when Aaron was playing, there was a group of people who were just like, God damn, Jeff, you are backseat gaming the fuck out of Aaron. And I thought about it for a while, and I've been managing to hold that shit back pretty well, Jason. But I knew this is the problem that I had when I was playing with Grant, right? Is that when you're switching off, when like you play this time and I play next time, and you, whoever you, the other gamer is, are out there just wasting bullets, throwing all the Molotovs, just like using up everything. I know in part 2, I'm going to be.
You sound like a dad. You sound like a dad going, well, you're running the air conditioner with the window open. Why don't you just cool off the whole damn neighborhood?
Are you telling me that if you and I were switching off levels in The Last of Us and right before it was your turn to play, I just started going down the list and running through every piece of ammo that I had, that you wouldn't be like, God, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, I got to play next?
No, because you know what, Jeff?
What?
Here's my superpower that you don't have.
Uh-huh.
My superpower is that I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's one superpower I just don't have.
You do not.
I really don't. I wish I did. If I need to get, you know what? I need to get bitten by a radioactive Irishman apparently, and then I'll get the powers of I don't give a fuck, because yeah, it would be nice. It would be really cool.
There are side effects. I'm not going to lie.
Okay. Like what?
Like all the Jamesons that I've been drinking.
Okay.
On this trip.
Okay.
It's a lot. Significant.
So,
heroic even.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about having a new feature. Well, not really a new feature, but maybe changing one of the features on Rage Select to just be every week after I come home from the bar at 3:00 in the morning, I'm going to record 30 minutes of me just blasting out of my mind, playing whatever the fuck I want to, and then just put it up and be like, I don't care, whatever. I'll just do whatever. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh my God, do it. Do it. And then you're playing, and then all of a sudden, hey, here's the AHA video for Take On Me. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to get back to Dark Souls 2, and then, oh shit, man, here's a Riot Girl video. No, we got to watch that.
Well, it would just be
that's the Drunk Jeff podcast.
It wouldn't be me. It would be me live streaming. But I don't. Anyway, back to Last of Us. Sorry. The only question I have about this, I don't think that the Maisie, whatever her name is, Maisie Williams, I think it's a bad. I don't think it's a bad choice. I just wonder. I've never seen her. Like, I've seen her social media, like her vines and shit, because she's all out there doing crazy shit. She's got a really
and
thick
because
accent.
you're creepy stalking a 14-year-old.
That's not what I'm doing, man. It's not what I'm doing. Don't put that out there.
Okay.
Anyway, I want to hear if she can actually talk without the accent. That's, I guess, the only thing that would maybe bother me is having Ellie have.
I bet she could.
Yeah.
I bet she could. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, what do you?
She's
think?
a good actress.
Who would you cast as Joel? Who would you put in the role of Joel?
Josh Brolin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see that. What about like McConaughey? You wrote McConaughey in?
Yeah.
Basically,
I can see that.
Just true Detective McConaughey as Joel in The Last of Us.
Fungus is a flat circle.
That's right. All right. I'm sorry. We're slowing down here. All right. Next up, we saw that a trailer from Halo Nightfall, the Ridley Scott produced TV series, and it looks pretty hot. Looks pretty spicy. I don't know. What'd you think?
You know, it looks good. I was intrigued. It's something that I will watch, but the Halo games always feel so epic, and this did not. This really felt more along the lines of Forward Unto Dawn.
Okay.
It felt smaller. Budget constraints, of course.
Well, I think it's supposed to, right? It's it's a side story.
Yeah, but still, you think Halo, you think big, epic sci-fi stories. And the story may be that, but it didn't feel like that.
Okay, I could see that. Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I think they have a lot of potential with if they can get a really well-written first season of this thing, and then at the end of the first season, Master Chief shows up, or a Spartan shows up, or a Covenant or something. I think that could be interesting, because there is a lot of apparently the Spartans were originally created from the Forward Unto Dawn, at least, they indicated they were originally created to suppress human rebels. So there was internal strife, which, I think that in a sci-fi universe, that shit could be really fertile ground to make a really compelling storyline. And I think that what they've got there looks like the production values are high enough that I'd watch it. You know, it doesn't look offensively bad or stupid. Like,
no, I will totally watch it when it comes out. I'm looking forward to it. It just it doesn't feel like it really captures the Halo-ness of the universe.
Mm-hmm. But that's, I mean, you're specifically, I think to you is that the Halo-ness is pretty much just, it's got to be big all the time, right? It's got to be big, kind of universe-changing stuff.
Yeah, granted, I am not the biggest fan of the Halo universe, but it really feels like, you know, galaxy ending, a swarm of alien enemies. It feels very operatic.
Did you play
Halo itself does, but the TV this Nightfall, I'm not getting any of that. It very much feels like, all right, we are playing within the confines of this soundstage.
Did you play ODST?
Very briefly.
Okay,
very briefly.
Because that always to me seemed like a smaller, kind of more intimate Halo game that was less about universe destroying and more,
right?
You know, kind of this little individual kind of Halo noirish, I'd say. But I've played more than about 2 or 3 hours of it. But also coming from Halo, proving that Blur is just the master of everything, apparently. They're redoing some of the cutscenes for Halo 2. And what's weird about this, specifically, this story says Halo, Halo the Master Chief Collection made an appearance at San Diego Comic-Con this week, bringing with it new screenshots of the reimagined Zanzibar map and a trailer showcasing Halo 2 Anniversary's revamped cutscenes. And, dude, this shit just... I think that Blur is... Is it the devil? Is he the one that's there? Because everything they put out is just... it's ridiculous. It's just...
You know, I saw this trailer for Halo 2 about the cutscenes and everything.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that looks really good. But it doesn't look remotely as good as the Star Wars Old Republic trailers. Not even close.
You think so? Or just the overall quality of the trailer seemed less to you? Or the quality of the animation?
Yeah. I mean, just everything. Watching that and comparing it to the Star Wars Old Republic trailers, it's night and day. Night and day.
But, you know, I think that's different in the fact that, like, with the Old Republic trailers, Blur, I feel they got to spec out exactly what they wanted to do, or they were doing a trailer, they were doing a vignette, whereas this is just excised pieces of a larger cutscene. Which I think that some of those cutscenes probably would make a better impression if they were the whole cutscene and not just little chunks that have been taken from here and there.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, to be sure, this is going to blow some people's minds.
Yeah,
people who cut their teeth on Halo 2, they're going to watch this and they're going to freak the hell out.
The only thing I'm wondering about, and this is another one of those, like, from the impression that I got when I was at Rooster Teeth, is the fact that these are specifically billed as Halo 2 Anniversaries cutscenes. I wonder if they're getting Blur to go back and do all of the cutscenes for all of the Halo games. But I bet...
Interesting.
I bet they're not. I bet it's just Halo 2 because they seem to be 343 seems to be like, I mean, that was the impression I got when I asked the guy at RTX, was that they're putting a lot of work into Halo 2 and they're leaving all the other ones basically as is. And if that's the case, like, I don't know why, if you were going to put out this whole anniversary edition. Well, I guess there's new cutscenes. When we saw the E3 presentation at Microsoft, they showed some of the stuff with, like, the Arbiter and telling the story of Master Chief and that kind of stuff, which, I don't know, maybe they're going back and they're doing them all. I didn't have time to look it up before we got started, but I really hope that they're not just doing 2, because I kind of hate the idea that they're putting all of this love and attention into just Halo 2, leaving all the rest of them pretty much as is, because it would feel really lopsided, right? Like when you're playing them all in a row, you'd be like, why is this one all like super fantastic? And that one over there looks like an Xbox 360 game, and that one looks like a 360 game. And this one seems like really, really punched up. I don't know.
Yeah, take them all, rebuild them with the same level of expertise and love, and just have it be like one giant ongoing Halo game.
I feel like that would be, I feel like that's what I would do. I mean, obviously that would be another 2 years worth of work, right? As opposed to just revamping, porting the code for a couple of these other ones and then revamping the one and then slapping it out with some multiplayer stuff in it. But yeah, I would love them to take like their engine that they're making Halo 5 with and then just go back to Halo 1 and just, redo the entire franchise from the ground up. I know that saying that, like, yeah, that's the asshole game journalist in me, right? So, yeah, I don't know why they don't just remake all the Halo games from square one, Jason. Seems like if I was going to do it, I would
just take like an afternoon, right?
Yeah, it's going to take what, like a week? And you just make all 4 games, and why don't they just put Reach Node EST in there as well? If I'm going to pay $60, I should get 6 of the greatest games on that platform that ever came out. I'm entitled to all those games for $60.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I just to me, I think that if they were going to put all of this time and effort into Halo 2, I would have much rather seen just Halo 2. But then again, every time they show this, all they show is Halo 2. They don't show Halo 1. They don't show Halo 3. They don't show Halo 4. They just show Halo 2. And I want to see...
Awfully suspicious.
I just want to see more of it. My paranoia senses are pinging off. So, all right, next up in the trailer category, we've got a pair of trailers from BioWare that are... basically seem like they were made for you, Jason Murphy, almost directly.
Oh, they look very spooky. I'm very intrigued. What is it? Shadow
Realms.
Shadow Realms. That's yeah.
Now
I'm curious. You got me. You got my attention.
Okay, may I break the spell for you?
Yes.
In March, BioWare registered ShadowRealmsOnline.net,
right.
ShadowRealmsPvP.net, and ShadowRealmsPlayFree.com.
Oh, fuck you, BioWare.
So
you just ruined it.
What I'm getting is probably some kind of maybe like what was the MMO that we played, the game, the Secret World, maybe like this.
Oh yeah, with the Illuminati and all that.
Maybe something like that, but a little bit more horror focused. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they heard me talking last week on the show about my horror game ideas, and they were just like, "Yeah, take all those. We're going to make those games. We're going to call it Shadow Realms, and we're going to go back in time and register all the trademarks before we start."
Well, watching those trailers gave me a very big Alan Wake vibe, and I consider myself an Alan Wake fan.
Yeah.
It's not without its problems. I really liked it and everything. But yeah, PvP, and yet you're still gonna try to capitalize on this environment of fear.
Well,
I don't understand.
I think that right now, these two trailers, the Spark teaser and the Nightmare teaser, they have the advantage. They have that awesome advantage of a new property where we don't know anything. And so they can make these trailers. It's just like, here's some spooky shit. And you're like, wow, that's really spooky because I don't know anything. The problem is that they run the real risk of, as soon as they tell us anything, everybody going, oh, okay, yeah, I don't give a shit about that. Where's Mass Effect 4?
Yeah.
Like, go fuck yourself with your bullshit. Where's Mass Effect 4? So yeah, but right now they still got my attention. And I like these trailers. They're well produced. They're very slick.
I'm curious. I can't lie. This looks like something that may have a lot of atmosphere to it. Mm-hmm. It could also be a completely stupid gimmick. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yep. Next up, and I can't, Jason, I have a hard time even saying this out loud, right? Today there was a Call of Duty Advanced Warfare campaign story trailer, and it kind of blew my socks off, man. Like,
really?
I watched this, and I really liked this trailer. Like, I don't know if it's just my penchant for some future shit or the fact that you got Kevin Spacey being a bastard or what. And I knew all these things, but like, I watched this trailer and I was just like, you know what? The problem, I watched this trailer. It had some information about what's going down in this story. Terrorist attacks. Well, go watch the trailer. I'm not going to describe it. Terrorist attacks, Kevin Spacey, there's tanks that walk, all kinds of cool stuff. But when I was watching it, and as I watched it, I was like, I really, really want to see this as a movie, like I said the first time. And then I got to the end, and I was like, oh, right, it's a Call of Duty game.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, you know, I thought the trailer looked great. Mm-hmm. It looks like they're really straying from the Call of Duty script.
Yeah.
I think Black Ops was the first time we saw them do that, but now it seems like they're really going in a different direction. And Kevin Spacey is just chewing up the scenery and just crafting some phenomenal moments.
Also, can we take a second to say, like, I think this is the first time that in this trailer, I think is the first time in this game outside of the initial teaser where I've seen a whole bunch of shots of the in-game characters, like people without helmets on and stuff. They look incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Spacey
I noticed that.
Looks just like Kevin Spacey down to, like, the movement of his jowls and shit.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no question.
Yeah.
Watching that, who it is.
Like, in fact, it's as far as I could tell, it's, like, totally outside of the Uncanny Valley. I look at that and I'm just like, that's almost as close as there's some, I was looking at The Last of Us Remastered, right? The Naughty Dog has that shit down in the faces, but, like, this is, it's just phenomenal looking. And it reminds me a lot of Black Ops 2, actually, in the way that that a lot of the future tech stuff that they had in Black Ops 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually really excited, and I think I'm even excited to play it because it just looks really kind of creative and interesting. Plus, I don't know about you, Jason, but I'm a real sucker for the whole PMC stories because we've had about 5.
Oh, I know. That's your thing.
Well, Metal Gear brought some of that up, and there have been other games that have touched on it, like Black Ops, or some of the Call of Duty games have touched on it. And I feel like it's one of those things where there's all kinds of media in movies and in TV shows and video games saying like, PMCs, that's a kind of a shitty thing, right? When you have this independent group of mercenaries that are just not accountable to any one nation state, and yet they still exist, and nobody actually talks about it or anything. I don't know.
Oh, man, I think we need to start a Rage Select PMC.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
What would they fight? Who would they fight? We're going to go fight other Let's Play channels?
I think Jeff, that the Juggalos are first on the list.
We get Kevin Spacey, some of those walking tanks. We're going to go take down the gathering of the Juggalos.
Yes! Oh, my God. I need a napkin. I'm not going to say what happened, but I need to clean up a mess.
Do they put Viagra in the water supply of Alderaan, Jason? Is that what's going on there?
Possibly. I've had an erection for about 14 days now.
Okay.
I think I might need to call a doctor if the commercials are to be believed. But yeah. But seriously though, you set up a scenario about dead juggalos. How could I not get a boner? I'm just a man.
Oh, man. Well, I tell you what, speaking of, this is be a question of, does it give Jason a boner.com? As we're out of trailers, we got three more stories real quick here, and then we're going to take a break. So last week, Jason, there was an interesting thing where EA unveiled that they are creating a subscription service, EA Access, on the Xbox One, where for $5 a month, you get access to a whole bunch of games.
All of their broken games.
Well, let's see. Battlefield 4, yes. This is the one specifically that have been named. Battlefield 4, Peggle 2, FIFA 14, Madden NFL 25, and then they're supposed to be adding stuff. They specifically had said that Titanfall is excluded, but there's also, they're giving you, 10% off of any EA games that you buy digitally on the Xbox One. I think that I think that if we're going to the digital distribution model, I think it's if I could pay every month like $50 and I could just pick the 10 publishers that I wanted to get every one of their games that came out from, I would much rather pay $50 a month to get that many games than what I currently pay out of the Rage Select bank account every month.
That's a steal, especially for someone who sits in front of a controller as much as you do.
Yeah. Well, I think that would be cool if you were able to, if you can only afford one game a month to be able to do that sort of thing. And I think that EA, as much as people hate them, that would be one of those things where you could just be like, yeah, what do I want to play this weekend? You know what? That Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, I haven't played that yet. Let's just boop, or hey, Need for Speed Rivals, whatever, boop. As long as that could be the sort of thing I feel like where you watch it and after like a year, if they've got everything they've released from the point the service started up to a year, or every EA Xbox One game except for the two biggest ones that came out last year, right? That could be totally worth $30 a year. The cost of one game to have access to all that stuff.
$30 a year, that's not bad at all.
No. So, that's what it says. $5 a month or $30 per year, and I feel like that stacks up with Xbox Gold or like Microsoft, the Xbox Live Gold account and the PlayStation Plus account. As all of these subscriptions are starting to get you some free games, and I think that is badass personally. Because before, when Xbox Gold originally came out, I remember being personally offended by the idea of, wait, what? You want me to pay $50 a year for multiplayer? Yeah, go fuck yourself, Microsoft. That's shit.
Meanwhile, Sony is just like, hey, you want to download Borderlands?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah. Actually, and it's funny because this particular feature was pitched to Sony. They decided they didn't want it. So you'll be seeing this on Xbox One, but not on the PlayStation 4, at least for right now.
Until it becomes huge, and then Sony says, hey, could we maybe get a bite?
Well,
just a little bit?
Well, I think that right now I think that what you're seeing is that you're seeing Sony treating that like a competitor, which is kind of the same reason why HBO won't put any of their shit on Netflix, right? That Sony has built over the last year a pretty solid base or a pretty solid value proposition with PlayStation Plus. Like you get it. I don't know if you've been keeping up with this shit, Jason, but in a month you'll get like 2 games on the PS4, 2 games on the PS3, and a Vita game every month for having PlayStation Plus these days.
That's a pretty compelling argument.
Yeah, and so I can see that being like, well, if we let EA come over here, there's a very good chance that people will be like, oh, I want those games more than the games that Sony is giving me, so I'm going to cancel my PlayStation Plus subscription and just have the EA subscription. And quite frankly, I can totally understand that. It sucks, and Sony will probably get browbeat into it if this service doesn't just completely flop, but I could totally understand where they'd be coming from. So I don't know, but would you get this if it was on PS4? Would you buy this?
EA has a ton of games in their library. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think I would. Let me ask you the
hypothetical though. The Xbox One right now, you're pretty familiar with the lineup of what EA games are out on the Xbox One right now. Would you get it for the Xbox One?
That's tough. I think that would take some studying, I think that would take some studying to where I could decide if this was the right decision for me or not, weighing all the pros and cons, etc. I don't think I could really just, go off the cuff and say yes or no.
Okay. Fair enough. I have no concept anymore of what it means to get games, so I don't have any idea. Next up, actually, you know what? You know what I really want is I want to hear from our listeners. I want to know if they would do that.
Yes.
Are you guys interested in, I mean, because I feel like we're already seeing or I don't know, maybe most people out there in the comments, maybe they're all still buying discs, but I've gotten really out of the habit of doing that, Jason. I've been doing digital releases for the PS4, digital releases for the Xbox One, Steam, and stuff like that. So at that point, when you're not even buying a physical product, I feel like the jump from there to just being like, yeah, just give me this shit for a subscription. I'll give every one of these companies out there $5 a month if I can get access to their entire back catalog. I got no problem with that.
Yeah, but what about when they go under?
Well, then, I mean, we already have that particular nightmare scenario already has a bunch of way more problems than just that one thing. Like, you talk about validation servers that are doing DLC checks or things like that. Who gets access to all this stuff? I mean, as far as, I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any way that we're ever going to have a good answer for that particular scenario. I mean, I feel that scenario also falls in the same place if you say, like, company X goes out of business and I still want to buy their game. Where the fuck am I supposed to get it? Right? Or they did a really limited run of this Japanese crazy import game, and the stores ran out of it. My GameStop isn't going to order anymore, and people online want $400 for a copy of it. What the fuck am I supposed to do then? I feel like we've already seen some of that stuff happen, and there's enough. I mean, I feel like at this point there's enough of a vested interest by all of these companies to keep these products available for people to purchase, that if, like, one of these big companies goes out of business, chances are all those licenses are going to get scooped up, just like we saw with THQ. Somebody else is going to get the license right. They're still going to be available in one way or another. All right, but two more, and then we'll take a quick break. Watch Dogs is going to have DLC, and it's in fucking New Jersey. Does anybody care? Do you care?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I can't even make myself play Watch Dogs. I have no desire.
That was when I was playing it for review. I had to keep forcing myself to keep playing it and not stop playing it because I was just like, I don't know, just whatever. Okay, and last up, as something that we talked about last week, this came up my news feed, and I thought that it was worth mentioning. Apparently, Jason, Tekken Cross Street Fighter is still in development.
What? It's still happening?
Yes. Let's see. Who we're looking at? Katsuhiro Harada, Tekken series producer, explained that between Tekken 7 and the ongoing free-to-play efforts, Tekken Revolution and Soul Calibur Lost Swords, finding a space for Tekken Cross Street Fighter is a matter of timing, and that they're basically trying to figure out when the right time to put the game out is. So apparently, they're still working on it, and it may eventually come out. My question at that point is, by the time it comes out, are we still going to have video games that we play with our hands, or is it going to be like in Back to the Future 2?
No, that's, I'm curious about it. I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to it, but I'm curious about it, because I like Tekken. I'm not good at Tekken, but I enjoy it. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, I think we'll see it sooner rather than later.
Okay. Well, with that, we are running so long, we're going to go ahead and take a brief break. When we come back, I'm probably going to cut about half our normal question load down because we have jabberjawed forever here in the beginning. But stay tuned, and we will be back in just a moment. All right, and we are back. We are back, and it's time for y'all's questions. We had a really good crop of questions this week, Jason. I feel bad that I had to cut a few of them, but, start talking about Deadpool, Batman, and Jason's boner. I feel like that's been the theme for this week's podcast has been Jason's boner.
I think that should be the actual name of the podcast. Not the Don Matrick Memorial Podcast, but Jason's Boner.
Jason's Boner Memorial Podcast. Wait, that would
Jason's Boner. No, not Memorial. My boner lives like Sinistar.
Okay, I gotta type it in right now and see if www.jasonsboner is this could be a really bad idea, you guys. See if this is okay. Well, it says webpage not available. I don't know if somebody's registered it. Maybe we can get you jasonsboner.xxx or something like that.
Yes.
No .edu. We need jasonsboner.edu. It's the new web domain for Rage Select. But anyway, folks, if you guys and gals would like to send us a question, mail@rageselect.com is the email address. That is mail@rageselect.com. And we will get your questions every week, pick out a smattering of them and answer them. As we're already under time constraint, I've got 6 questions this week, and our first one comes in from Patrick. Patrick says, "Greetings, Jeff and Jason. My question pertains to the DC animated universe. Last week, you guys spoke about the best Batman material without even mentioning the DC animated movies. So my question is, what are your favorite DC animated movies? Personally, my favorite is Dark Knight Returns, specifically Part 2 and Flashpoint Paradox. Also, did Jason ever watch Young Justice or the Justice League /Jail Unlimited? Well, you're well versed in Justice League Unlimited. I know that.
Oh, yeah. No, I've seen Justice League. I've seen Justice League Unlimited. I'm actually most of the way through the first season of Young Justice, and it's amazing. Mm-hmm. I really, really like it. I haven't seen a lot of the more recent movies. I saw the first half of Dark Knight Returns, but I haven't seen the second half. I haven't seen Flashpoint Paradox yet, unfortunately. And Assault on Arkham has actually hit the torrents.
Oh.
Yeah, it's hit the torrents recently. I haven't seen it. I've seen bits and pieces of it, and it looks really cool. I didn't even know that was coming. But my favorite DC animated movie is New Frontier.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know me. I love that whole ethos and everything. I love the portrayal of Martian Manhunter as this naive, kind of ET-esque alien guy. But yeah, and of course, it's a pale comparison to the actual series, but I still think it's fantastic. Just the retro art design, the retro sensibilities, that really kind of speaks to all of the things that I like.
Okay, I think, let me see here. I'm looking at a list of them. Okay, here are the ones that I really liked. There's actually the 3 that came out right in a row. Under the Red Hood, I really liked.
That's a great one.
The Superman Batman Apocalypse with the Supergirl and Darkseid and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I like that one. I especially like the fight at the end that they have where, oh man, yeah, that there's some shit goes down at the end of that. And then I thought All-Star Superman was pretty good. I think that the main problem that I have with a lot of the DC animated stuff is that whenever they do story arcs that I'm familiar with, I miss a lot of the things that they have to excise or the things they have to change. So, like, Superman versus the Elite, they added a whole bunch of stuff in, and especially the way that they changed the ending of Superman versus the Elite, I didn't like as much as the original What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. Dark Knight Returns, I've talked, this is one of those we go back to. Probably don't even have access to the podcast anymore. But one of the big things about Dark Knight Returns that I didn't like is I feel that it really, really lost something without the voiceover, without the narration.
Oh yeah, because it was kind of noirish.
Yeah, because in the comics, I mean, you could see it in the actual comic that it was kind of meant to have Bruce's nihilistic voiceover going, and there are some scenes, like especially the one that I always point out in the I think it's in the first part, is the scene where he's in the he takes down the leader of the mutants, and Frank Miller, something tells me to stop at the arm. I don't listen. All that stuff. I felt that stuff was really missing from that movie, and that it would have added a lot more to it.
Right.
What was Superman Unbound? Oh, yeah, I didn't like that one very much. That was based on the Jeff Johns Brainiac storyline, and I really didn't like. A lot of people on the site whenever we bring up comics, they really like Jeff Johns. I really don't like the end of that Brainiac storyline.
I didn't read it, and I didn't see it.
Oh well, it's basically well, I won't spoil it. It's kind of tied. Well, no, okay, I'm not going to spoil it at all. Flashpoint Paradox was, I think, where they started getting into, or maybe Superman Unbound was where they started doing New 52 stuff, and
yeah,
like the Justice League War, I thought everybody in that was an asshole. Like,
they were so unlikable.
Yeah,
and it was that way in the comic book. That's why I didn't read the comic past that first arc. I was just like, wow, everyone in this, including Superman, especially Superman, is a dickhead.
Yeah. Flashpoint Paradox was okay. I mean, I feel like the recent ones have been, I'm kind of interested in seeing Assault on Arkham because it's based off of the Arkham franchise instead of New 52. And then I guess what they had, Son of Batman with Damian, I guess, was the one before that.
Yeah, that's one that I really need to see.
I'll tell you what, though, Jason, my favorite, I don't think it actually counts because it's just an extended episode of the TV show, but my favorite of all of the animated Quotey Fingers movies is the Batman Superman, the first one, the one that they did where
it's really just episodes cobbled together.
Yeah. It was created to be aired as like a 3-parter or something like that. Where Joker comes to Lex and says he could take care of Superman. I love that shit because it's that bright superhero shit that I really like. And also, I really like there's a scene where Lex and Joker are negotiating, and in the background, Harley Quinn and Mercy are just beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
Oh, it was really good.
All right, next up, this one's a little bit long, but I thought it was an interesting one. I don't think we read this last week. I think I cut this last week. Let me know, Jason, as I read this if I already read it. I sometimes get a little confused. This one comes from Wesley. Wesley says, "Hello, Jeff and Jason. Been a long time since Loading Bar and still am keeping up to date with what you guys have been up to. Anyway, a week or two ago, from the time this email was sent, IGN had released an article about the breakdown of how game developers are paid. These numbers come from Gamasutra, who surveys how budgets are broken down according to disciplines in the development process. The breakdown is this." I didn't read this one before, right? It's got a bunch of money in it. I don't think we went over this one last week.
No.
Okay.
No, we did not.
Okay, so here's the breakdown. Business and management, $101,572. Audio professionals, $95,682. Programmers, $93,251. Producers, $82,286. Artists and animators, $74,349. Game designers, $73,864. And QA, $54,833. Now, assuming that these numbers are based on some of the bigger studios, it seems that the business and management portions are taking the lion's share of the money. My question is with microtransactions making their way into non-free-to-play games, could the money made from these microtransactions only be funding the business and management portion of game development and as a result not trickling down to the rest of the development process? Stay classy, guys. Wesley.
That's an interesting question. I don't know that I know the answer to that.
I think that when you look at the way that money is brought in via free-to-play games, or the microtransactions on top of free-to-play games, it's weird because most of the people in that list are disposable except for the business side of it, and even some of them are.
Yeah, that's a sad thing to admit, but it's true.
Yeah, I mean, programmers, producers, artists, animators, game designers, and QA, and audio professionals, basically everybody in that list except for business and management. A lot of times when the game ships, all those people are like, they're done, they're out of there, or they're dissolved into another team or moved around. I mean, we just saw they just announced, I think it was either today or yesterday, right, that Crytek took Hunt away from the Crytek Austin studio that was the Vigil people who did Darksiders, and I think they're dissolving that studio.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Really?
I think I read in an article that they were offering positions to some personnel, if they wanted to move to Germany, where Crytek is located. But yeah, that studio is apparently getting dissolved, which is a real shame because, fuck, man, Darksiders, I really like those games quite a bit. But as far as microtransactions, I got a feeling personally that microtransactions are that all the costumes and the DLC and shit like that, if the game itself is being sold for money, all that is just bonus money directly into some guy's pocket, right? That isn't
right. That's buying a new Ferrari or something.
Actually, you know what? I'll take that back. Don't want to be as cynical, because when you think about you think about the model that we have set up, right, where a game studio creates a game, and then as soon as they get done with it, everybody gets fired and they dissolve the studio, that we see time and time again. But But if a game actually has microtransaction like costume packs, weapon packs, story DLC, add-on stuff, that's an incentive for that studio to stay open longer, because after the core game is done, you still have to have personnel there creating those assets. Then it can essentially be paid out, probably not as many as we're making the core game, but that studio itself can probably continue to operate. It actually kind of solves a problem, now that I think about it, of, when you ship a game and the game sells and you get all the money from the game, right? But at a certain point, the game stops selling and you're not making as much money anymore. Whereas if you have a store where you're selling costume packs and bonus content, you're continuing to bring in money on top of the existing game that's already been sold.
Yeah, constant revenue.
So you would have to keep some people on staff to be able to do that sort of stuff. It might even make... I don't know. I've never thought about it in not my cynical fuck you corporations way before. But you might even look at microtransactions as a thing that could keep some game developers in business longer. Because, up until the microtransaction point, it seems like one of the most stable jobs in game development would probably be MMOs, because they're constantly making DLC packs and add-ons and stuff like that. So you don't just trash the studio once the game is shipped. But now that every game can have smaller amounts of DLC put into it, that stuff could actually add up. I don't know is the answer, Wesley, but it's an interesting thing to think about. All right, our next question is short, and it's especially for you, Jason.
Oh boy.
This one comes in from Michael. He says, howdy y'all, Mike back at you with a question specifically for Jason. I know that you, Mr. Murphy, are a big fan of the Heroes for Hire, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist. Well,
damn right.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Michael. Like we needed more Jason's boners in this podcast. Well, I've always been interested in both of these characters, but I've never known where to start with them, and more importantly, where I can acquire the essential stories. What are some recommendations for some good starting stories for these characters, either together or separate, and how can I read those stories? Trades, back issues, comicsology? Thanks for answering. Keep up the great work, Michael. And this is the guy who keeps saying that he won't donate to Patreon until I sing Let It Go in its entirety without changing any of the lyrics, which I will not bow to peer pressure, Michael.
Yeah, that, okay, so there's Essential Power Man and Iron Fist out there, and those are all in black and white. You can find that.
Wait, why are they in black and white?
Well, the Marvel Essentials, those are in black and white. They're like they're really thick, like digest versions.
Okay. But
and you can find that for a lot of Marvel stuff, for most of it. I think they're going to stop printing them, though.
Is that would that be listed under like Heroes for Hire?
No, I think it's Power Man and Iron Fist.
Okay.
And you can actually find a lot of the Heroes for Hire and Iron Fist stuff in individual issues for reasonably cheap. Mm-hmm. But they reprinted all of Iron Fist's first series, his 14 issues or however much it was, in the Marvel Masterworks hardcovers, and those are like $50 each, so expensive. But really, I think the best example of Iron Fist was actually in the Ed Brubaker Matt Fraction run, which has been collected in various sizes and everything. You can find that pretty easily. That is a great bit of exposure to Iron Fist. Now, as far as like Luke Cage goes, I don't really think there's been anything seminal for him. But you can still find a lot of stuff with him in it. I mean, he was leading the Thunderbolts for a while. He was in Brian Michael Bendis's New Avengers, and those are some great stories in which Iron Fist joins up with them eventually. But yeah, if you want to read the classic stuff, start with the Marvel Essentials. That's got all of it in there, and all like 150 issues, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, check those out. They're fun. They're dated. You know, they're very 70s, early 80s, but they're worthwhile. You know, it's they're very much a product of their time because, I mean, really, Luke Cage is the manifestation of Marvel wanting to cash in on the blaxploitation craze, and Iron Fist is Marvel wanting to cash in on the kung fu craze. And so when those two comics weren't selling as well as they liked, they said, hey, let's take the blaxploitation character and combine him with the kung fu character and put those two guys together. And that's how Power Man and Iron Fist was born at issue 50.
Let me ask you.
So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question. I looked at Comixology and I found Power Man and Iron Fist. It's listed as the all new, all different Power Man and Iron Fist. And the Iron Fist on this cover looks like Iron Fist, but the Power Man doesn't look anything like Luke Cage.
Stay away from that shit. I couldn't even read it. It's a Power Man, and it's this kid who is able to manifest the chi of wherever he is, and he's just this sassy urban kid. And I just thought he was fucking annoying, and yet Danny Rand, Iron Fist, was trying to train him. I read a couple of issues, and I was just like, nope.
Okay.
No. I need Luke Cage, not this tosser.
Have they cast the Netflix Luke Cage and Iron Fist?
If they have, they haven't announced it yet.
Okay. Who would you put in there?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think the knee jerk is to put Terry Crews as Luke Cage. And I can't say that I disagree with that. As far as Iron Fist goes, though, man, I don't know. I mean, honestly, this is going to sound like a weird choice. I could see Zac Efron doing it if he committed to the training.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I at least from what I've seen, I mean, I've read a little bit of New Avengers, and I think that my closest brush with Luke Cage has been in Alias, from Alias to New Avengers.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Terry Crews really comes off as that character to me.
No, and I just said that because he seems like the front runner, like the popular opinion. I think we need someone who's a little bit less bombastic and who is more of a person, you know, and not a cartoon. So that said, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that would be.
Okay, that's a little weird. That might be one of those ones where you could find an unknown actor, right? You find somebody who just goes into the part really well, and how about Aaron? We'll get Aaron from Rage Select to be Luke Cage,
dude. I'm telling you, Aaron would be perfect.
Yeah,
even though he's got the martial arts skills of Iron Fist, I think he could do a damn good Luke Cage.
Yeah. I'm seeing some stuff online here for Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I don't think that really works as well either.
No.
Yeah.
We don't want some ambiguously racial guy to step in. I mean, there are already huge hints that The Rock is going to be playing Shazam, Captain Marvel. I think that's a much better fit. I mean, if you're going to cast someone as Luke Cage, make him an honest-to-God black man. That's the whole point. He's this downtrodden guy who grew up in Harlem. That's not The Rock.
Okay, here's a good one I was looking up. Chad L. Coleman. Do you know who that is?
No idea.
He was on. Oh, you see, you never watched The Wire, did you?
Not yet. I have intentions to, but I haven't yet.
He was on there. He was really good on that show. I don't know. He could probably do it. Anyway, all right. Let's go on to our next question. This one is from Greg, and Greg says, "Hey, Rage Select. In listening to your recent Q&A podcast, you were discussing Watch Dogs, lamenting how shallow a character that the game's protagonist is. That got me thinking about other games, such as the original BioShock and GTA 3, in which you play a silent protagonist. I think at this point it's fairly universally agreed that a personality-rich protagonist may make for a more compelling character, but does that make you, as the gamer, feel more like that character while you are playing over the empty shell type? And when you're playing a character in which the personality is already defined for you, do you find yourself playing the game as that character would, or as yourself making the choices that you would make in that situation? Without getting spoilery, I think about a particular moment in The Last of Us in which I felt compelled to make a decision as the character based on my own morality, but was not allowed to because that was not the morality of the protagonist I was controlling. I'm interested in your thoughts, Greg." And this is, Jason, this is our question this week that we have already talked about before, but you know what? Opinions change, so we're going to talk about it yet again.
Yeah, I prefer the pre-written character, the character that I can really relate to. I mean, I understand the desire of creating a Cypher, a Gordon Freeman that you can embody and jump into. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite things about video games is the story. Mm-hmm. And I really like to see someone, I like to be able to connect with John Marston. I don't want to be this blank slate tabula rasa cowboy. I want to be able to connect with John Marston. And honestly, if we had a strong protagonist in Skyrim, I think that would make it that much better. I think if we were able to connect to that character, that would be so much more powerful.
Really? I mean,
But that's my preference.
I guess the question is, like, do you think that in a game like Skyrim, because I mean the closest that we've seen to that is once again to go back to Dragon Age, is seeing that you can create your own character in Dragon Age. But I think that one of the big differences in Skyrim is that, like, that the lines for the character would have to be very generic, because you couldn't have like your swinging Dick Conan dialogue if your character was a rogue or like a wizard or something like that. Like that would only, if you were trying to make a specific type of character, I feel like in Skyrim you would lose something because that the line read, I mean, that's, I guess, what I'm thinking about with Watch Dogs, right? Is that in Watch Dogs, the character was not a Cypher, but he was too bland to really make an impact on me as a player. And I feel like,
no, you're absolutely right. He wasn't a Cypher. He was just a boring fucking character.
And I feel like a lot of times in those games with the Cypher character, you can actually make up a lot by so I guess this is an interesting take on the side of this question, Jason, is I feel like you can get just as much out of a game that has a Cypher main character if you have well-written supporting characters.
Yes.
The ones that you're interacting with.
Like Mass Effect.
Right, exactly. Where you can have your character do whatever. But even Mass Effect, I mean, I guess Mass Effect is a good example of how they were able to write Shepard generic enough so that even if you were playing the Infiltrator class, right, you didn't feel like... it was a little weird sometimes in that game where you would have a character... like a rogue character, right? And then you go to a cutscene, and Shepard just pulls out the machine gun and is like, "I'll shoot you in the fucking face." And you're like,
exactly.
Whoa, dude, I could turn invisible, Shep. Like, calm that shit down. We will knife this guy when he turns around to leave. So I don't know. Yeah, I feel that as long as you're not making a boring character, that it's probably fine. Because I don't have any problems with the. I forget what they call him in BioShock, but your main character in BioShock, who is completely empty shell. GTA 3 being the same way, where GTA 3 was even had a lot of story injected into it, and your character never talked the entire time, and it was fine. the game itself had enough story that you didn't need your character to be all blah, blah, blah. But then again, I guess when Vice City came out and we had Tommy Vercetti, it was just like, oh, yeah.
It changed everything.
Yeah, this guy's...
You realized how good it was to be able to relate to the person whose story you're following.
Yeah. Plus, how good of a character was fucking Tommy Vercetti?
Honestly, all of the GTA characters, since they've started creating characters, they're all just amazing.
I want to see, oh my God, I would love to see, okay, so GTA 5 takes place in the modern day, right?
Right.
So, let's see, let me do the math on this. I would love to see Rockstar make like a buddy cop road trip movie with Tommy Vercetti and like a 17-year-old Trevor from GTA 5.
I don't even have any sort of measurement of time for how much I would play that.
Oh my God, that would be fucking awesome. Just those two assholes rolling across like from dusk till dawn stuff. Oh God, it would be crazy. Yeah, that's what I feel like really I want in GTA now is I want to start to see more of these characters crossing over. Like I know we had Johnny Klebitz from The Lost and the Damned ever so briefly in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
But I want to see like Nico and I guess that the Nico guy kind of burned his bridges with all of his payment stuff. But I really would like to see, that's one of those things where Rockstar's gone out of their way to create all these different lush characters and worlds. I'd love to see more of those characters running into each other in other ways. You know, I think that would be really fun.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. They've got a really broad IP, so yeah, let's see Trevor run into Nico or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that would be really interesting.
Who else does really good? What other company does like really good game worlds where you could have people cross over that were in enough of a time period? I'm trying to kind of run down the list of games. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is Rockstar kind of our shining jewel of world building? I guess Saints Row.
Yeah. I think Rockstar.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, just trying to look. Nope. Okay, never mind. All right. Next up, we have a question from Jonathan, who says, "Greets Jeff and Jason. I've been sitting on this question for a while, so forgive me if it goes a little long. Recently, I've been seeing numerous articles about how the world could end from sources either fictional or not. Now, I'm not an overtly optimistic person, but why the hell is the internet and a decent chunk of the population so enamored with the end of humanity? Yes, as a whole, humanity has pulled some seriously evil shit, but we've also created great works of beauty and invention. Have we become so jaded and cynical that we've romanticized our own mass extinction? Seriously, what the fuck? Keep on raging and praise be to Dongacles, Jonathan."
Jonathan, the end is near, man.
Oh, yeah?
The end is near. It's almost here. Batten down the hatches. Mm-hmm. Take all of the porn and spam you can. No, I may have mentioned this on the show before, but there was a theorist several years ago who said, as pop culture's trend starts to repeat itself in faster and faster increments, that is when we will see the collapse of civilization.
I think that's bullshit. Okay, so here's my take on this whole thing. I've got 2 points to make. Number one, this is not new. Every single generation back to the goddamn Middle Ages, dark times, has been saying the world is coming to an end. the Great Fire of London was considered a sign that that was the end of the world. That was Revelations. That was the first of the signs. Satan was going to come and fuck us all up. The Black Plague, another one that people thought were the end of times of the world. Go back to the 1980s and you'll find story after story whenever there is a large natural disaster. I mean, Jason, you grew up in the 80s, right? You were same age as I am, basically. You remember when people first discovered the words ozone layer?
Yeah, that was our next scare since we grew up being terrified of nuclear weapons.
Right. So, before that, which I was a little young for it, but, in the 70s and coming up in the 80s, like, there was a good chunk of the population that was pretty firmly convinced any goddamn day of the week that we were going to go to nuclear extinction. That was just going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I went around on the playground telling people that.
Yeah. And then...
just making kids cry.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know. It sucks, but... yeah, we're all going to die in radioactive flames.
Mm-hmm. And then when they discovered, this is for all you young people out there, when they first discovered there's a hole in the ozone layer, seriously, you should go back to when they started telling us about this because we should all be dead right now if what they were saying was true back in those days.
Oh, yeah. They were just like, well, yeah, the Earth is going to get sucked through this hole and fucked by a space dragon.
Yeah.
And we're all dead.
I've talked before on this podcast. There was a time when I was a kid when they scared the shit out of us about landfills and how the entire Earth was going to be covered in garbage. All of these things happen because this is my armchair psychology here speaking. But as far as I'm concerned, this is our desire to basically always think that we are the most important thing that's ever happened. Is that this generation is important. And how important is it? It's the last generation. That's what subconsciously pushes this shit.
When clearly microwavable pizzas are the most important thing that's ever happened.
That's right. So here's the thing. I'm not like a climate change denier or anything, and I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't think that we fucked up a whole bunch of shit on this Earth. But the Earth and probably a good amount of the life on the Earth outside of the nuclear winter thing is probably still going to be around even after we're gone. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that we're going to be around for a long time because I think that when the shit goes down, that humanity is really adept at pulling together and working some fucking things out. I mean, you saw what happened after Judgment Day, right? John Connor put us together. We beat those fucking machines back into the ground where they goddamn belong. Fuck you, Skynet. But
damn right, Edward Furlong, our savior.
That's right. But the second part of that is I'm going to point the finger squarely at the entertainment industry because you know what's really exciting is a scenario where the world is going to end. Well, end tits.
Oh yeah. Okay. No, I'm sorry. World-ending scenario.
Also,
yes.
you know what's an instant recipe for making everything dark and fucked up? That was your cue to say tits again. Yeah. No, it's the post-apocalypse. Is that they've decided that's like, oh, it's after the zombie apocalypse, and that's the reason why everybody in my fictional story is so fucked up and crazy and acting like an asshole is because it's after the apocalypse, and we've all got to watch out for ourselves. When you look at it, most human beings will help other people. Only the most sociopathic of us will see a person that is hurt or in pain or anything like that and just walk on by and go, not my problem. Here, I'm going to take them.
And take their wallet.
Right. But you know what? It gives you an instant recipe. It's some fucking Betty Crocker microwave easy bake oven shit for drama because...
yes.
You say it's after the apocalypse and everybody's an asshole. And so we're all trying to fuck each other over constantly. Guess what? You've just now invented a million ways to have plot and paranoia and violence and all these different things. And I think that we just see a lot more of it now than we used to because I'm pretty goddamn sure that shit's been around fucking forever.
That is a really good point.
We had another question that I skipped over, and we got a few minutes here, and we've only got one more question. It's very short, so I would like to talk briefly about this one. And it basically was a question, Jason, where somebody said, I'm seeing all this negativity. It seems like we're all super, super negative all the time now. And I think that kind of goes back to the same question where I honestly don't think that current humanity is more cynical. Maybe more cynical. Maybe cynical is a better word, but is more negative. I just think you're seeing more people say negative shit than you used to. That you've always had a bunch of fucked up, miserable people who just want to make everybody miserable all the time. But it used to be that they weren't able to just ejaculate their fucking horrible opinion all over everything that they think is terrible, like they're the most important goddamn person in the world. Myself included in this. Like, we used to listen to a handful of people who had some serious credentials when it came to people telling us how we're supposed to think and feel and stuff like that. And now we can get bummed out. I mean, anything that happens. The Village Voice gave Guardians of the Galaxy a 77 on Metacritic, and they're always like, yeah, it's kind of just a colorful mess, and it doesn't have very good through lines. It's just like, what the fuck? Shut up! I don't want to call out a specific movie review critic who lives here in Austin because I hear that he's a really nice guy. But go to
do it.
Okay, there was a good 2 years, Jason, where I would go to Metacritic to see what people thought about a movie, and when Mark Savlov's name came up, I was just like, you go fuck yourself, Savlov, because if it wasn't about lesbian cowboys in Palestine, this guy didn't want to have anything to do with it. He was just like, Guardians of the Galaxy, it was the baby talk and explosions, and it's got Andy from Parks and Rec. Blech. It was like, yeah, that's the movie I want to go see, motherfucker, not some like super break your mind bullshit.
Yeah, I've met that particular critic on a number of occasions. He's a nice guy, but I disagree with him pretty much any time he puts pen to paper.
Yeah, and that's not even to say that, like, I don't think that guy should have a voice, because I do think he should have a voice. I think it's just that we have to. It's one of the challenges to me in the modern era, Jason, is learning how to come to terms with the fact that you can't avoid some of this negativity anymore unless you really go out of your way to stick your head in the sand and
welcome to the internet. I hope you enjoy your stay.
I mean, here is a guy. While we were talking, I looked this up. Kyle Smith of the New York Post gave Guardians of the Galaxy 1 out of 4 stars.
Okay.
And so that's just that dude's like opinion, man, in the words of Big Lebowski.
Dissenting opinions help me anyway temper my expectations.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I guess that's one way to look at it when you say that marketing and, I mean, I guess we're way far off of Jonathan's question at this point, but like there's a whole industry in this country that is built to do nothing but make you have a giant hard-on for everything, for every single thing that comes out.
Well, they are succeeding because I have a giant hard-on.
But they are there to make everything look like the best. And I'm not even just talking about movies or video games. I'm talking about food and music and a car and a laptop and all this stuff that they're using shit on you that you don't even know about to make you like love this shit just subconsciously. So maybe we need a big dose of negativity in our lives to just be like, yeah, no, fuck that. Well, it looks like the best thing ever, but fuck it. I don't care.
Balance everything out.
Yep. I don't know. To me, Jason, it just plays hell with my emotions because I'm just like, it's the best. It's the worst. It's the best. Oh, it's the worst. Who do I listen to?
You're a delicate little flower.
Yeah. I have a hard time, man. I grew up in a time where you just listened to what the TV told you, and that's what you thought. And now it's like, fuck, the TV's telling me like 4 different things. I don't know what to think anymore. Last question comes up from our friend Jordan. Jordan says, as an amateur game and movie reviewer, I would like to ask, should you really have to play the whole video game in order to do a review on it? I do think you should play a good amount of a game to give an opinion on it, but if you're not enjoying it, should you really keep playing? Thank you, sirs. Jordan.
I think it depends on the game, honestly, because, when you say game, that covers a lot of space.
Okay, clarify.
Well, you could have something like The Last of Us, or you could have something like Tetris.
Okay. Well, let's assume for the sake of the question that we're only talking about games with a narrative in them. We're not talking about Xbox or like 1001 Spikes, right? We played 1001 Spikes for 30 minutes. I could probably review it right now.
Yeah. No, I agree. Games with a narrative, like, I don't think you could review The Last of Us without playing it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can review Killzone, Shadowfall, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can review that without playing it all the way through.
I think the problem is there's no way for you to know which games you can and can't do that with until you've played them all the way through. Because, and this is the thing to keep in mind, Jordan, 99% of the time, I will tell you this right now, 99% of the time, you can absolutely play a game for a little while and then review it. However, 1% of the time, you will lose all of your credibility if you do that. Because if you played Mass Effect and you didn't play Mass Effect 3 all the way to the end, and you just wrote this shining review of it where you were like, you would look like an idiot because you wouldn't be addressing this huge elephant in the room, and it would be pretty obvious that you hadn't done that. To me, it's like asking if you can review a movie by watching the first hour and then walking out reading the rest of it on like Wikipedia or whatever. And I don't think you could do that. I think you got to sit.
Agreed.
And
agreed.
I understand that like it's tough when you're talking about a 60-hour RPG, right? Like Watch Dogs, right? I put 30 hours into Watch Dogs, and I didn't really enjoy 25 of those hours that I put into it. But if that's what you're going to do, that's what you got to do. Sometimes you are going to really enjoy it, and it's going to be wonderful, but sometimes you're not going to. But there are some games out there. I'll give you a list right now. BioShock is one of them, where if you didn't play up to the plot twist turning point of BioShock, you would probably not be qualified to talk about the story of BioShock. Not playing all the way to the end of Red Dead Redemption, in my opinion, would be a hideous crime because you couldn't talk about the emotional impact of the storyline without getting all the way to the end of it. There was the one...
Yeah, and the only way to know this really is to spoil yourself by looking it up online or just playing it.
Which I also take a little bit of issue with if you are going to be a game reviewer, if you want to be a critic or something like that, of watching a video of the end of the game online. That's, to me, kind of cheating.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Yeah. So I think you gotta, and I understand that, when you're playing a bad game, like, there have been a few that we don't have reviews for. There's only been like 3 games that I haven't played all the way to the end. I think Dark was one, right? I played a good 20 hours of Dark and it was like, fuck this game. I know enough. So yeah, but you just got to be careful. Plus, it's nice to play a bunch of games all the way to the end. You know what the state of games look like. So, and with that, we're going to go ahead and close out our Q&A session. Last week we had our little call to action, Jason. We got a few replies. I think I'm going to, when I get a little bit of time this week, I think I'm going to set up a little thing where we can all go meet in person. We can see who tries to stab me, who does not try to stab me.
Yeah.
That's okay, because
I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the winner. I'm going to be the guy that stabs you.
No, I'm going to bring Grant as my muscle, so it's going to be fine. Nobody's going to mess with Grant.
Okay. Yep. No, that sounds legit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
good call.
Folks, if you do want to send a question into this podcast, mail@rageselect.com is the email address. We got a ton of good questions this week, and if I didn't ask your question, you could send it back in again, or you could trust that I will go back down through the questions, which I sometimes do and sometimes don't. Mail@rageselect.com, once again, is the address. And Jason, can you give us a sneak peek into where your space journey will take you next week?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Good night, everyone.
That's all I got.